Man, I just wish there was a server one day that could come up and just plop into existence, giving me countless hours of fun and so many memories. What? Welcome to a sort of history of ZoneRush video. This video is going to be a sort of way, a documentation of events that I've seen and been a part of with ZoneRush. And I'm going to go through each map so that people can admire some of the amazing builds that were made by people such as eTurtle, Melp, myself, and many others, including the owner Mittens and Marina. But right here, this is the final version of the original map. This is the season beta final map. And this season was possibly my favorite season, although it's likely due to nostalgia. It took place about 3 months after the launch. 3 months before the Halloween event, which is when most people joined. But this was by far the time I wish I was able to create the most memories with this server. It was extremely close. Everyone on the server knew each other at this point because there wasn't that many of us. I think there was maybe 60 to 70 people that actually played. And the way that this went the majority of the time is there was 3 groups. There was kind of outcasts, such as members like Fate, his cousin Swaggo, or not Swaggo, Flommer, and and 8wa. This season also had 2 main factions, which I was glad I was a part of. One of them was called Gonk, and Gonk is still standing alive to this day, but it's looking a bit rough for us. Most of our members are inactive, including myself. I don't really play that much anymore. But in every single one of these buildings, I can tell you a story of a fight that happened in a way that we won an interaction, Gonk won, or we lost, and Minehuts group won. But it all came down to a final fight for the season, which was possibly the biggest thing for the season. Also, for those confused, this season introduced things such as launch pads. It was the first season to have the Flood event and Warden event, although they were implemented incredibly poorly. And this was probably ZoneRush's buggiest season, but it was also the best season because it had those bugs. And the map was pretty much entirely made by Melp, eTurtle, Mittens, and Rowena. I didn't have any input on this, and it's actually really beautiful in many ways. And in said final fight, I sadly did not win. I was defeated by someone who was using a shield macro by the name of Boystink, but I digress. So this has been a complete tour of the beta season's map, and now we move on to a season I enjoyed, but wasn't altogether that great. This was probably the season that I had the most input on, map-wise. This is Season 1 of ZoneRush, the official start to ZoneRush. During the Halloween event, there was little pumpkin mansions around here. I don't have any pictures of them. If I can find any, I would. But I'd just like to go into detail about a couple of these builds. Mostly the ones that I made. This build is made by Rowena. It's a house. We spent hours, me and him, building it together. Well, basically he would just ask me how that looks good, and I'd be like, yeah, sure, whatever. Helped him with the design for the roof, the interior, and for the guess, but I mean, I really didn't do much of anything around here. What I am most vocal and proudest about having done is right over here. Now this is my greatest input to Zone Rush. These flags didn't work, sadly. They would have been nice to have had, and there was, in fact, a 3x3 piston door, which was horribly unfun to set up. If I can remember who the design was made by, I will make sure to link that. I know I did not come up with it myself. And this one I did come up with myself. It's just a simple 2x2 piston door, which led into a secret dungeon, and I was gonna try and make lore for this season, but sadly, the server does not work like that. And this, for those unaware, which is probably everyone, this is a reference to an older game. I'll put it on screen, but this is basically a tower from the game Happy Wars. And that game was shut down in 2011, or I want to say 2011. I'm probably wrong. Again, I'll have to correct myself in editing. But yeah, it was possibly one of my favorite games that I grew up on, and so I felt inspired to add it. Now, history about this tower in particular. This tower is taken directly from Block Rush, or Block Rush's last map. It was, it was there. No one really cared about it, but the reason I dislike it is because I had this massive black, gray, and like light gray tower, and they replaced it. They said it was too ugly. It was beautiful. It was gonna be lore. It was gonna be lore for this season. And this season had many bugs as well, and which are still lasting, like tough candies being able to just be watered. Like, if someone tough candies, you can just water them and it does nothing. Or the piston door never working, and the fact you could use the piston door parts to get a flying machine. And one of my favorite parts about this season that no one really utilized, besides myself once or twice, was this little secret tunnel right here, which was entirely reinforced deep slate, which means once you got in, there was no coming out. And this was prior to when we had duels, so people would often just run, especially with like these high units of Skybound. Over here is last season's map. Now this one wasn't too long ago. This was season 2 of Zone Rush, so this is likely when most people really started getting into it. They might have joined during season 1, then really started playing over here. And this season was chaotic. It was literally ruled by Lawuda the entire season. There was no disputing it. That guy, props to him, like, Jesus. If he logged on, people were not fighting. But this is the season that I started to see a decline in my interest over Zone Rush. I found it wasn't very interesting. The map felt different, possibly because I had literally zero input on it, unlike prior seasons. And I forgot to show something, but that's only something that old players are going to see, and it's the Crab Cave. If you remember it, then you're a bloody legend. That was in fact made by me. Crab Cave was loved by many members of the community, and I will brag about that. But many of these builds have a very modern day feeling to them. These are the incomplete versions. There was actually rooms in here. The clock tower was commonly known for people just running away, like little, sorry. Down here was, I don't even know. And this season's most notorious bug was actually discovered by V-Way, and it was made by using this hopper and this auto crafter right here. And what you could do is you could craft strength candies, which were extremely powerful because they would give you strength 1 for 20 seconds. And so I got banned for abusing that because V-Way was one of my closest friends, and he told me. He recently quit. And this map was kind of bland on the outskirts. Like, I don't want to be rude to the map creators, but it just felt very barren compared to the other maps, which is likely due to the fact this map was very rushed and very large compared to last season's. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but like there's a ton of shit over there, and then at the start earlier there wasn't that many. Now if I can find it, we can go to this season's map, but I personally have no clue where they put that. But I mean, it's this season's map, season 3. Damn, we're on season 3 of Zone Rush. But yeah, so this was my documentation and sort of appreciation to all of the builders who made Zone Rush's maps. Again, thank you, Melp, Eternal, myself, Rowena, Middens, and Fate helped out. And I'm probably forgetting someone. Please don't get mad at me if I am. Yeah. So, Zone Rush players of nowadays, there's not many of us who played back in the day during season beta, but you're not going to get everything that we say. But I hope that this video can help you all sort of understand and feel more included with the community of Zone Rush, at least with the older players. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day or night wherever you are.